Coming up, body camera footage shows the chaotic scene as a mass shooting unfolds in downtown Louisville.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Police in Louisville released body camera video worn by the first officers who arrived at the scene of Monday's shooting at the Old National Bank. 5 bank employees died after a co-worker entered the bank and started shooting. CBS's Roxana Saberi has the latest from Louisville, and we want to warn you that some of the images are graphic and disturbing.
Just 3 minutes after the first 911 calls, Louisville patrol officers Nicholas Wilt and Corey Galloway ran toward the bank as shots were being fired, not knowing the gunman had set up an ambush in the lobby.
It's easy to tell an officer that you have to run towards gunfire. It's another thing for them to actually do it.
Officer Wilt was shot in the head within a minute of arriving on the scene.
Officer Wilt was a brand new officer. He had no experience. He never hesitates, even after getting shot at. This young man went back in to the line of fire in order to protect others.
Wilt's training officer Galloway was shot in the arm. He continued to return gunfire, finally killing the shooter.
He's down! Get the officer!
The response wasn't perfect, but it was exactly the response we needed. They did absolutely exactly what they needed to do to save lives.
Officer Wilt is hospitalized in critical condition. The gunman killed 5 of his colleagues: Deanna Eckert, who died Monday night, Joshua Barrick, Thomas Elliott, James Tutt.
He took my mama away from me.
And 45-year-old Juliana Farmer, who moved to Louisville just over 3 weeks ago to help raise her 4 grandchildren.
My mom was the sweetest person, lovingest person, a smile that lit up the room.
Police say the suspect legally purchased the AR-15 style rifle 1 week ago at a local dealer. Detectives searched his home and recovered several items, but are still investigating his motive, while tributes to the victims continue to grow. Roxana Saberi, CBS News, Louisville, Kentucky.
University of Louisville hospital officials say a 5th patient was discharged following yesterday's shooting. 3 patients now remain in the hospital, with 1 patient, Officer Nicholas Wilt, still in critical condition. The other 2 are in fair condition. The city of Louisville is holding a vigil tomorrow night for the victims. It will be at the Muhammad Ali Center Plaza. That begins at 5 o'clock. Police say several lives were saved yesterday because employees followed the guidance of run, hide, fight. Many ran to safety when they heard gunshots ring out. Others hid inside a bank vault to avoid danger and the suspect. The CDC says each year more than 20,000 workers experience some type of workplace violence trauma, and it's important for employees to recognize the warning signs.
Part of the answer here is employers need to get more proactive in putting systems and policies and processes in place so that they can get more direct reporting from their employees. And then I think they need to more clearly define what is material and concerning behavior that they need to know about.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 392 U.S. workers were workplace homicide victims in 2020. A new national poll suggests more Americans need to store guns safely in their homes and suggests many families have been impacted by gun violence. CBS's Michael George has more on that.
Many Americans are not following recommended gun safety practices when storing guns. That's according to a new KFF survey, which finds 3 in 4 adults in households with guns say at least 1 gun is either unlocked, loaded, or kept with ammunition.
The American Academy of Pediatrics and other medical and public health groups recommend storing your gun safely because kids are curious, and if they find a loaded, unlocked gun with ammunition, they may well play with that. Gun death has now become the leading cause of death among kids and teens, and many of these are preventable deaths.
Dr. Celine Gounder is a CBS News medical contributor. The survey also finds about 1 in 5 adults say they've been threatened with a gun or had a family member killed by a gun, including by suicide. The majority of people surveyed sometimes worry a family member will be a gun violence victim. Significant disparities were also seen.
Black adults were twice as likely as white adults to have had a family member killed by gun violence. Black adults are far more worried about their kids being caught up in gun violence, being injured in gun violence, than are white parents.
And despite the public health push to get doctors to talk to patients about guns, only a quarter of parents say a pediatrician has ever asked them about guns in the home. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
1 in 6 people surveyed say they have witnessed a shooting, according to KFF. That number is 1 in 3 for black adults.
Weather-wise, plenty of sunshine out there today, and we will continue to see sunshine throughout the next couple of days as well. Now look outside to a peaceful summer set downtown. Mid-50s right now with nothing but the city lights illuminating things. Same thing in downtown Pikeville from our Pikeville Medical Center camera. Temperatures remain in the low to middle 50s in many spots. How about Monticello checking in at 46? The cooler spot right now. Still a couple of 64-degree readings, though. Jackson and Prestonsburg, so still some areas taking a little bit longer to cool off. Your forecast first as we head into tomorrow morning. Another cool morning ahead of another beautiful day, and we've got clear skies as we start things off in the mid-40s to start. Once the sun comes up quickly into the upper 40s and low 50s on our way back into the 70s tomorrow afternoon. Steve, I'll have the very latest on when we could see perhaps a couple of showers return to the forecast. Spoiler alert, not the next couple of days. Details in a few.
All right, Evan, thank you. Earlier today, local leaders gathered at the Knott County Sportsplex. It was announced the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky has been deeded a parcel of land in the Chestnut Mountain subdivision in Knott County, where it will work with housing partners like the Housing Development Alliance and Samaritan's Purse to build 57 new homes for flood survivors. Foundation CEO Jerry Roll says people from any county affected will be eligible for one of the homes.
We have already seen people moving, crossing county lines and moving from place to place. And what's wonderful about that is we're building new neighborhoods. Some people are able to stay in their current neighborhood, and that's great. We want them to be able to do that. But some people want to move. They would like to go from Breathitt County to Perry County or from Perry County to Knott County. We can do that.
The homes are being built on a portion of the Western Pocahontas properties, and Roll says they received it from a partnership with Western Pocahontas and Joe and Kelly Craft. Dozens of community members and even Governor Beshear gathered to welcome the final family into the new Gurney's Bend subdivision in Hazard today. WYMT's RJ Johnson was there.
Folks from across the region came out in support of Hazard's newest subdivision in more than 50 years. With funding from various organizations, Assistant Director of the Housing Development Alliance, Chris Dahl, says the new subdivision is something the community needed.
We were selling them as fast as we could build them, that it's a very attractive neighborhood, they're great looking houses, and it's in a great location.
The final home in the neighborhood was sold to a family of flood survivors, and with the keys to their new home in hand, officials are left to ask, what is next for other flood survivors in the county? Both Dahl and Governor Andy Beshear agree that housing projects like building the neighborhood need to continue.
Next is flood recovery, that we need Gurney's Bend 10 times over to help the flood survivors that are in our community. And so it's great to pause, but now we are looking to doing this again and again and 10 more times again.
I mean, you look up and down the street and you see what's possible. Bringing people out of the flood zone to a safe area, a new home, one where they can be secure, hug their families, build their memories. Today gives me a huge amount of hope.
With the vision for what is to come for flood survivors, Dahl and Governor Beshear say they are excited for the future. In Hazard, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Dahl also said he's thankful for the community that supported the Housing Development Alliance's efforts in this process. The arraignment for a Powell County murder suspect was delayed today. Devin Hall and Tanya McKinney are charged in connection with Jason Smith's death. Hall is charged with his murder. He's accused of stabbing him. He told us from jail yesterday he just snapped when his ex-girlfriend and Smith showed up to his home. McKinney is charged with complicity. A judge delayed the hearing due to illness. One person has died after a stabbing last night in Mingo County, West Virginia. State police say Corey Markham was stabbed in the thigh. 5 people are in custody in connection with this case and have been charged with felony accessory after the fact. Matt Lackritz has more from Matewan.
State police say since finding Corey Markham dead here at the Magnolia Garden apartment complex, they've been trying to figure out exactly what happened and have since arrested 5 people and charged them with felony accessory after the fact. Speaking with one of his friends, he can't believe he's gone. Corey's friend agreed to do an interview with us, but only if we didn't show his face and altered his voice. His worry is that people will come after him if they see they talked about Corey.
Corey was a great guy. I mean, if you needed anything, he would absolutely give it to you. But there was definitely no reason for it to happen to him.
State police say there's still a lot to find out, and they're looking at multiple locations and other persons of interest connected to his death. Corey's friend says police need to find all those connected to his murder.
And they should go to jail for life. It's easy. I mean, for that to happen to such a good person, they should not be out walking free whatsoever.
The state police say that investigation is ongoing. Police say they found a detonated pipe bomb in Harlan County. The sheriff says it was on an ATV trail in the Kinver community. Officials determined it was safe to recover pieces of the bomb scattered throughout the area. No arrests have been made, and the sheriff says he believes this is an isolated incident, but if you see anything suspicious, to call them. A former federal prison employee admits he tried to cover up the assault of an inmate at an Eastern Kentucky prison. The Lexington Herald-Leader reports Randy Nickel, a former sergeant at the Eastern Kentucky Correctional Complex in West Liberty, supervised 3 correctional officers who carried a restrained inmate into a shower, laid him face down, and kicked and punched him. The assault occurred in 2018. Nickel pleaded guilty to 3 counts of obstruction of justice in relation to the incident. Also Monday, James D. Benish, one of the correctional officers involved, pleaded guilty to 1 count of deprivation of an inmate's civil rights. 2 other correctional officers entered guilty pleas last year in connection with the incident. Victims of Eric C. Kahn are getting notices this week as the process to get Social Security back pay moves forward. Ned Pillersdorf, the attorney representing those who lost Social Security benefits because of Kahn, says anyone who is seeking back pay should send in a request for a hearing now. He says if they win a hearing, all the benefits will be reinstated. That's part of an agreement reached earlier this year between Pillersdorf and the Social Security Administration. Thousands of Jackson Energy customers were in the dark for a couple of hours this evening. At one time, more than 11,000 customers were without power in Clay, Estill, Jackson, Laurel, Lee, Owsley, and Rockcastle counties. Officials say there was a transmission outage affecting multiple substations. As of 7:20 p.m., officials say all power was restored. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, we'll take you to a Mountain High School baseball game that was extra special for one family.
And we've got plenty of sunshine into the next couple of days, but changes after that. The details in a few.
With Life Alert,